Honestly, I feel like there's a lot of room for improvement in notes in the hospital system. This is something that I've seen everywhere I've gone. They've just become these huge copy forwarded messes, completely full of note bloat, and nobody even reads anything anymore. There's no useful information in these notes, and it's all built for the coding department. And one of the things I actually like doing is, honestly, I sit at home and I work on my Epic templates, which sounds kind of stupid, but I actually find it kind of fun trying to figure out how to make things more optimized and make things more efficient and also more legible for people who are trying to navigate the EMR. In this video, I want to try and go over 10 tips that I have for improving your Epic templates in order to improve communication with the other providers on the team, make writing your notes more efficient, and also ultimately provide better patient care. My first tip is honestly to just try and make your notes as beautiful as possible. And what I mean by that is there's an overlying principle that the more obvious it is where a human is writing actual text rather than automatically generated stuff from a computer, the more likely it is that somebody's going to pay attention to your note and actually read it. You need to try and find places to reduce as much note bloat as possible. And as I said before, make it super obvious that you are the one typing it that day, so they know exactly what you're thinking that day and exactly what you saw and performed that day when you were talking with the patient or you did the physical exam, for example. Nowadays, we tend to copy forward stuff so much that nobody pays attention, like I said, because it's just so often that there's wrong or erroneous information in there. Also, I absolutely hate when somebody's note is just so long that you have to scroll for like 3 minutes before you can even get to the bottom. For me personally, I really just keep it simple. So I start with the name at the top. Recently, I've added on the room number, the hospital day, for example, and then I just go straight with the one-liner because usually I use these templates to present off of later, which helps me. I go straight into the 24-hour interval events and then into the subjective. And then I have this objective portion that's completely hidden because people don't need to see that every single time. They don't need to scroll through your objective data. And it goes straight into the assessment and plan. And all of the 24-hour events, subjective events, and assessment and plan are fully updated from scratch each morning. So each time somebody looks at the note, they know these 3 sections are all handwritten. Our hospital does have a useful feature where you can kind of hide the previously copy forward text and then just only see what's been added. But I find that immediately having it clear that you are writing all this stuff without somebody having to go through extra steps to see where you're adding stuff just makes the note so much more trustworthy when somebody opens it. Tip number 2, and I really mentioned this already before, is to just hide everything that's not relevant. And for me, that big portion was the objective part of the note. When I'm reading somebody's notes, I'm not going through their notes to try and figure out the person's vitals or their labs. Most people's note templates just generate that automatically, and I think it's appropriate to have it in there. So if somebody wants to go back, 2 weeks later and see what their labs were that day, it makes it a little bit more convenient. But for the purpose of daily communication, you should just be able to completely hide all of that information. If a consultant is reading your note, they're already going to know all the vitals. They're going to know the labs. There's no reason for them to have to scroll through tons of data that they already know about or can look up on the results tab by themselves. So at your institution, I would try and see if you have a collapsible header for a section like the objective data and just put everything in there. And if they really want to see the objective data, then it's a simple click and then they can see everything they need to. Tip number 3 is to write an actual assessment. So many times when I'm reading people's notes, their assessment is literally just a copy-pasted version of their one-liner, which is completely useless. First of all, you've already put the one-liner at the top of the note. Why do you need to repeat it at the bottom of the note? It serves no function other than just increase the amount of bloat in your note. There's no purpose to it. When you're writing an assessment, just tell them what the big goals are for that day, your big impression of how the patient is doing. Are they doing well? Are they getting better? And then talking about some of the things you're ordering, like today we're going to try Lasix 20 milligrams, or we're going to get an echo today. And one thing that I've been doing is I've actually been making my assessment in blue, so it just really stands out in the note, so people will be able to jump straight to that if that's the most important thing they want to look at. One of the big things that people have been finding out is an APSO format note is actually a little bit superior to a SOAP note because it immediately puts the assessment right at the top of the note, which is the most important part of the note that everybody's trying to look for. For me, I find that my notes have gotten to the point where they're so small that the assessment is already immediately visible, so I'm still using a SOAP format, but without even scrolling, they can already see the assessment and it shows the big goals for the day. So again, write an an actual assessment. Don't just copy paste the one-liner again because it's useless to do that. Tip number 4 is to actually write something under the disposition as well. A lot of times people have a section for the disposition planning for the patients because in internal medicine, it's really important to figure out all the social work needs, all the PT and OT needs, where they're going to go after they get discharged from the hospital. And you have to start thinking about that stuff from day one in order to get the patients out from the hospital as soon as possible. So many times I look at somebody's dispo section and it just says pending. And it's like, what are they pending? It's very unclear. You need to be specific about what you're actually pending in order to get the patient out as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So this should include things like where they're going to go. Are they going to go to a SNF? Are they going to go to home? And if they are going home, where is home and who are they living with at home? Do they have any PT needs? Does physical therapy need to clear them before they go? And also, do they have any follow-up appointments that you need to schedule for them? You should also just put a general estimate of how much longer you think the patient is going to be in the hospital. For example, 24 hours or 48 hours. These are things that I think if you put in your note, people will actually pay attention to what you're writing in your dispo section instead of just writing pending. I think if you actually start to put detailed information in both your assessment and disposition, and you actually keep it updated instead of just writing generic statements, people will pay a lot more attention to your note, and there will actually be useful information for the rest of the members of the care team. Tip number 5 is to use a size 10 font. And this is something where I switched back and forth from different size fonts. You know, our default in the hospital is size 12. And if you can just look at this thing, it's massive. You can barely read anything. People can barely read anything, and they have to scroll extra because it's so big. And then I started to go to size 11, and that was a pretty nice jump. But recently I've gone back down to size 10. And it's so nice having size 10 because people have to scroll less, for one. But two, when you're writing your note, you can also see so much more stuff as well, because I like to have all of my objective data in the note. I have all the medications that the patient's on. So if I need to refer back to what medication they're on and what schedule it's on, I can easily scroll back and see everything really clearly with a size 10 font compared to even just a size 11 font, which makes a huge difference when you're writing your note. So size 10 font is not only beneficial to you while you're writing your note and helping you write your note faster by being able to have a larger view of what's going on in your note, but also helpful to people who are reading your note after you sign it, because they don't have to scroll as much to find all the important details. Tip number 6 is to make a shorter physical exam template. So many times we have these wordy physical exam templates and nobody pays attention to it. The shorter it is, the more likely somebody's going to read it and actually understand what you did and what you thought was notable on a patient's exam. So for example, I'm going to show what my exam template looked like before, and also I'm going to show what it looks like now. And with this new exam template, sure, it has a lot less points on it, but it's so minimal that any text that I add to it immediately stands out and people can clearly see what I thought was important when I was examining the patient. I think this is super important because so many people have these extensive, comprehensive, gigantic physical exam templates where they say that they documented cranial nerve exam 2 through 12, an entire neurologic exam, and they did tactile fremitus, and they did all this other stuff, and they never did any of that. And it just contributes to not having a clear picture of what actually was found on a physical exam of that patient. Tip number 7 is to find smart phrases that automatically pull things in for you. And this will help you write your notes much more efficiently. And it's things like vital signs, labs, ins and outs. A couple ones that I added that I found particularly useful is one that automatically pulls in when the patient's last bowel movement is, and I put it right where their bowel regimen section is. And so I can really easily tell if somebody's been constipated for a few days and I need to add something to their bowel regimen. And this prevents me from A, missing it because I don't check their flow sheets for bowel movements every day. B, it reduces the amount of clicks I need to make in order to see if somebody's constipated or not. Another one that I've recently found that's been super useful is one that automatically refreshes the active lines and drains that are in the patient. Again, this is super useful because before I had this active lines and drains dot phrase, I would have to physically go to the summary tab and then scroll down, see what lines and drains I have, and then manually type it in, which takes like an extra 10-15 seconds, and over time that adds up a lot. So again, try and find the key automatic dot phrases that will pull things in for you, but don't go overboard with it to the point where you're just creating a whole mess of your notes. You have to be very tasteful in which ones you choose to put in your note. Tip number 8 is that everybody should be using a hospital bundle. And for me, this includes things like IV fluids, what's their diet, DVT and stress ulcer prophylaxis, disposition, everything like that. It's really important to have a hospital bundle because it really prevents you from missing small details, but important details in a patient's care. And my 9th tip is to build a template where things that you had to look up frequently are automatically filled in for you, so you don't have to look it up. Common things that I use this, for example, are anticoagulation. So I put, Lovenox or heparin if they have an AKI, because early on in intern year, I would forget that we shouldn't use Lovenox in patients with AKI. So I put that there, and it's been a constant reminder to me that I should check if the patient has an AKI before I prescribe their DVT prophylaxis, because then I can choose heparin instead of Lovenox. Another thing that I commonly use it for is the indications for stress ulcer prophylaxis, because a lot of times patients are unnecessarily placed on stress ulcer prophylaxis, and I had to constantly Google what the actual indications were for this. So it was super handy to just have a quick little phrase that goes automatically into the template and reminds me of what the actual indications are, and I can quickly delete it before choosing if a patient should be on a PPI or an H2 blocker, for example. And finally, my last tip, and this mainly pertains to when you're writing H&Ps, but really start using the navigator to update things in the actual EMR rather than just putting it in your own note alone. It's really important to put it into the chart, because when a patient comes for a future visit, somebody who pulls up their history will immediately see what's been updated or not. For example, in internal medicine, updating the social history is probably one of the most important parts of going through a full history and physical. And when people update it only in their note, it kind of sucks because it's harder to pull that information up later. What I did is I have this dot phrase that has, where their residence is, what their ADLs are, who they're living with, smoking, alcohol, drug use, hobbies, stuff like that. And then I also have a little thing that says updated on today's date by Conan Liu, MD. And I put it into the actual social history documentation, so anybody who's doing a history and physical in the future will automatically have it populated when they're writing their H&P, and that'll really help them in the future. I think it's just small things like that that would be really helpful and something that we can improve in the medical system, because medicine is really disjointed. And when you freehand stuff into your H&P, it's never going to be saved in the chart, and nobody's going to look at an H&P from, 5 admissions ago. Your H&P is going to be lost. So you want the information that you've collected and to be reliable to be saved in the chart. So those are my 10 tips for improving your Epic note templates. I'm still working a lot with the Epic EMR team to try and build better smart phrases and stuff. And I want to continue working on this stuff because I really feel like we can optimize our notes a lot better. We can improve patient communication, and we can make using the EMR more friendly by having a standardized system of how we go through things. I think when we got thrown into residency, we're told, okay, just figure it out. But I think there's a way that we can standardize everything. We can make really effective H&P templates and progress note templates that make a lot of the thinking easier. It's not going to remove the thinking, but it just helps streamline the process. I'm going through the hospital bundle. I see what the indications are for DVT prophylaxis. I see what the indications are for GI prophylaxis. When I'm going through my H&P, I already have a very detailed social history taken from the person from before, and I know to go to the navigator tab to work on that as well. And when I'm writing my progress notes, I know that other members of the team are actually going to read them because it has stuff that I actually wrote in there and is important, rather than all the copy forwarded bloat that we tend to see in a lot of notes nowadays. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I think it's really fun to improve the note templates and work on that. I love optimizing things and making things more efficient. And so I think these are just 10 ideas I have for trying to make your EMR workflow more efficient. And hopefully this was useful for you guys. I'm looking forward to making more videos. I'm going to make a video on how to finish all your notes by noon. Hope you stay tuned for more videos in the future. If you like the video, like, comment, and subscribe. I would love to see what comments you have for making your Epic templates more effective. And thanks for watching.